we're going to set these teams up, and we're going to give you some protocols and some policies about working from home. And our IT team, who are mostly still here, where's Ryan Mark? Wave your hand, Ryan Mark. At that time, they scrambled to get laptops, to do the ones that they had, and to get new ones, and to make sure that people got them. And of course, it didn't work out perfectly because, hell, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. Nobody knew a thing at that point in time. But we were going to do this thing virtually. Oh, it'll be done by Memorial Day, 4th of July, school, New Year. Anyways, so, but everybody here has been vital to the process. So I just really quickly, I want to get a couple of things. I know that you've got something planned, but I just like, raise your hand if you were part of Children's Bureau on March 16th, 2020. If you're employed by Children's Bureau March 16th, 2020. Thank you for sticking with us. Now, I want to hear from our risk takers. Raise your hand if you didn't raise your hand already, which means you've been hired since the pandemic started. Raise your hand.
Stand up.
Thank you for taking a chance on us. I hope it continues to work out. Whether you've been here for almost 3 years, or 3 weeks, or 3 days, we've done our best to stay connected to all of you, to try and provide opportunities for you to be safe, whether you're locked in your home. And remember those days when people weren't going anywhere? Reflecting back, I remember hitting pots and pans to say thank you to the responders out there and the nurses. Remember the very beginning of this, we were worried about the older generation because they were the ones mostly at risk. So we were literally saving grandparents at that point in time. Little did we know that it was going to impact the rest of the world. We had, during this time, 3 employees that lost both their parents during COVID. And one set of parents was by the time we hit July, and I had friends that were telling me, well, it's not really a thing, it's not a big deal, and I'm like, you don't even know. Because those 2 parents, as I've said to many people, were younger than me. So did that open my eyes? You can bet. So there's that experience that we've gone through. It's a shared trauma that's above and beyond the normal traumas of life that we would ever expect to have. And we've done it together. And to me, that's the big measure of who we are as an agency and how we want to be and how we value each other, trying to give each other space. We created an opportunity for people to mourn in December that one year. And we've been able to reach out to people. We've talked about, what do you miss the most? And I've done all these different surveys in my morning emails over the years, just to kind of say, well, what's the first thing you want to do when you get back? And all these different kinds of ideas just to kind of keep us connected. Because it's this connection that the organization thrives on more so than anything else. So I look at this as being so important to who we are, because you're all dealing with the collective trauma of the pandemic, but the issues that you work with each and every day. And whether you work directly in client service or you work supporting client service through administration of some sort, you're still dealing with that each and every single day. And so that's impactful, and yet we're still trying to support others, children and families and communities, as you can say almost every day. So how do we do that? Sometimes we need to be able to be in the same place to say, hey, I'm dealing with this. You got any ideas? Because I remember that used to happen, by the way. And it doesn't happen as easily on Zoom. It just doesn't. It's as simple as that. And so when you're in a cubicle next to somebody else, or you're just passing in the hallway, and you kind of, oh yeah, that's somebody that I remember they had that at some point in time. Maybe I'll ask them how they handle that issue. We know that happens. It just doesn't happen as smoothly and easily through Teams and Zoom. So as I'll talk at the end of the day today a little bit more about what the future's holding and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and all the rest of that. And if you saw my morning email this morning, I did say, at some point we will have a mandatory all-staff meeting. This was going to be. So I literally, again, will turn this over to Melvin in 1 second. But and of course, all of this and all the things that we have done through the pandemic would not have been able to happen nearly as smoothly, nearly as brilliantly, nearly as nicely without our people support team. So there. Have absolutely rocked it through the pandemic. So again, sincere gratitude to all of you, once again, for taking a chance, sticking with us, joining us, being here today is so incredibly delightful to see.
All right, thank you so much, Ron. Give it up for Ron Brown.